And here I thought all gamers were neckbeards, basement dwellers, no good to society, because that's what a lot of conservative pundits would have you believe, that they're worthless, they don't do anything. And yet, on one of the biggest podcasts in the world, Elon Musk and Joe Rogan started it off by talking about the benefits of playing video games and how it can help you out in your day-to-day. And ladies and gentlemen, I really thought this was interesting, so let's get into it. That's right, Joe Rogan and Elon Musk sat down and we're talking about video games and what Elon Musk likes most about playing video games. And there are a couple of things in this, and I just want to show you a couple of clips here from that podcast because they're really interesting, and let's comment on those.
We were talking about something that I think is a really good, because people always think that video games are frivolous, but what you were saying, I think that's really important, is it's so difficult that it requires you to only think about that, and it can like relieve stress.
Yeah.
It can take out the rest of the...
Stress relief. Boy, isn't that interesting? Isn't that what most gamers say that they do? They come home at the end of the day and they just need some stress relief and they just need something to focus on. And so what they're going to do is they're going to use these games to actually focus on something to clear their minds.
The world, because it's so hard.
Yeah.
You can only think about that.
Yeah. I mean, if I play a video game on extreme difficulty, then I have to concentrate fully on the game. And it has a calming effect.
Yeah.
It sort of chills down. I mean, you mentioned, I think, and many people like if you play martial arts or you play pool, like something that forces you. It's like I think anything that forces you to concentrate fully actually has a calming effect. I find it just sort of like kind of a restoring effect mentally.
Yes.
It's good.
Jiu-jitsu.
So all of that there is incredibly interesting to actually hear two of the most popular people in the world. Whether you love them or hate them, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows who these guys are. Now, lately, we've been seeing a lot of conservative media coming out and going after gamers, saying that they're all neckbeards, they're worthless to society, they don't actually do anything beneficial, they're just collectors. Conservative commentator Glenn Beck notably said he banned his daughters from dating gamers and figurine collectors because, you know, they're bad people and they're worthless and lazy. But yet, funny enough, this next clip seems to dismiss all of that criticism. Not only did they talk about the mental health benefits of playing video games, such as having stress relief and actually getting to clear your mind and focus on something that has even notably been done in studies for pipe tobacco. I actually read that a long time ago, that that just sitting there and smoking a pipe with tobacco in it, because you have to constantly focus on it, actually clears your mind as well. Which, if some of these conservatives are, I love smoking pipe tobacco, but apparently pipe tobacco good, video games bad. I don't know, these guys are weird. But let's dismiss all of that with this next clip. This one is where I really thought, how interesting. How interesting indeed.
Yeah, exactly.
I was reading this study about surgeons, where they found that surgeons who regularly play video games make less errors.
Well, I mean, video games require manual dexterity, so it makes sense.
Completely makes sense.
Actually, if somebody was like epic at video games, I'd say like their surgical skills can be very good, because in order to be good at video games, any kind of fast reaction video games.
Look at this: 32% fewer errors, 24% faster, and scored 26% better overall than their non-player colleagues.
Oh, I believe that for sure.
That's incredible.
Well,
now, the study that they are talking about here is actually a rather small study that I was able to track down, and just to make sure that we're looking at all of the details as much as we can anyway. Over here, actually, let's go back to this screen. That one looks a lot better. Over here, it says, out of 33 surgeons from Beth Israel Medical Center in New York who participated in the study, 9 doctors played video games at least 3 hours per week. Those 9 doctors. So 3 hours of gaming a week. That's not even a lot to get a lot done in most modern games. Made 37% fewer errors, performed 27% faster, and scored 42% better. This is compared with the 15 surgeons who never played video games at all. Now, that being said, a study that is this small, now that was back in 2017 if you didn't notice the date, but a study that small generally isn't going to really be big enough to cover the wide margins. However, the fact that there's even any data on this at all is really interesting. And one of the things that I've noticed from a lot of people that I pay attention to in the world that are very, very successful, very motivated people is when they want to sit down and clear their minds, they play video games with themselves and their friends at the end of a hard week to clear their heads and get refocused. One of the things that I really find interesting in all of this is that whenever you're talking about any culture war BS, gaming is getting attacked on both sides. Whether it's right-leaning, heavy conservative people rejecting them outright, saying pish posh, it's not good stuff. But they'll go to movies. They'll go to movies and sit there and sit on their fat rumps and watch movies and football all week. But how dare you play a video game? And then in addition to that, we're also getting attacked from the left side of it, who just wants to co-opt it because they know that it's the most popular entertainment medium ever. And one of the things that I would really like people to realize is that gaming is legitimately just a fun pastime that you can do. Now, I also was raised with the everything in moderation mentality, such that you don't sit there and go full bore on everything always. And a lot of people do that. I know when I get really into a game, that is my focus, and that's what I'm doing. That's why sometimes, like this weekend, when it's heavily raining outside, I can't go outside, I can't really do a whole lot. I took some time and I played some games this weekend and had an absolute blast with it because I don't get a lot of time in my life to play games. My wife lately has been telling me that I need to do that because I'm always more calm. Weird how my wife lately has been telling me that I need to play more video games to calm down, and all of a sudden Joe Rogan and Elon Musk are talking about the calming effect of video games, the calming effect of having something in front of you, and that is your sole focus. I find this very, very interesting because these guys are guys that have definitely made their rounds on the conservative podcasts. It's really interesting to me because everybody just wants to write video games off as this childish medium. And any full-grown adult who plays a video game today is just a man-child, a man-baby. They're not fit for this world. They're neckbeards that live in their mother's basements. They don't do anything productive for society. And I sit there and I listen to that and I'm like, man, what a way to absolutely crap on the most popular form of entertainment in the world, which also simultaneously craps on the largest amount of people in the world. It's almost like they don't understand what they're talking about. It's almost like people who use it as a pastime to just sit down and chill are actually more mentally stable in their lives and probably have a little bit more mental acuity in their lives than people who just sit down and watch the boob tube, or people who allow absolutely zero entertainment. Again, it's a mental rebalancing. It's a way to sit there and make sure that, you know what, you get your frustrations out for the day, you forget about the day, you allow your mind to wind down and process. And honestly, it's actually something that I've even noticed in my life. So why do you think, even today, with as popular as video games are, it's still getting attacked from both sides this way? I can't understand it. At this point, we have three very, very guaranteed 4 generations of gamers coming up in the world, and yet the stigmatization is still there. I mean, we've got Gen X, the millennials, we've got Gen Z and Gen Alpha, and all of them are playing video games, having a fun time with it, but yet apparently those are just absolutely worthless to society. 3 generations of people worthless to society. And what I find so funny about this is that in a very small study in a college in 2017, or when the results were released, the guys who played video games at least a few times a week were better surgeons than the guys who didn't. So honestly, I used to make the joke, yeah, what happened to those doctors that were smoking in the room with you? And they're, yeah, boy, that heart looks real bad, let's get in there. You know, yeah, the joke, right? Well, now I would sit there and I'd probably want to ask my doctor, hey, do you play video games? If the doctor said no, not really, I'm like, well, maybe you should get me a surgeon that plays video games, because I think I'm going to trust that guy a little better. Because going on later, they talk about how you have milliseconds to make decisions in a video game, and that is something that can train your mind to help you out. They mentioned StarCraft, Quake, Games where if you're on it, you're on it. If you want to be the best at those, you actually have to be exceptional as a human being in order to think that fast and in order to move that fast. Now, the hardware does help, obviously. But why does this stigma still exist around gaming, the most popular entertainment medium of the world? I don't know. I wish I knew. But for some odd reason, it's still a narrative. I guess it's going to be up to us to destroy the narrative that we're not all just a bunch of neckbeards living in mom's basement, playing video games all day long. But who knows? Maybe we're just going to have to wait for the boomers to finally die off, and, you know, the world will start to recognize the benefits of actually having an entertainment medium that is engaging to the person. But I don't know. I'm just a gamer. What do I know? And I'm definitely not a surgeon. Definitely not one of those guys. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. And thank you guys for tuning in to A Drink with Crazy. I do appreciate everyone there. We just crossed 3,100 subscribers on the channel. That is insane. And I don't even have to ask you guys. You guys have just been tuning in to do it. So thank you all so much. And if you guys want to hear my thoughts on some other topics that I've been talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard lately a lot. A lot of the numbers behind it, a lot of the stuff going on around that. You want to see what else I have to talk about? Videos are up on the screen right now. And as always, until next time, cheers, everybody.